Hey, Jarrod. How's it going?
Mark, thanks for joining us. So today we're going to talk things all Photon Engine and Servers.com.
That's right.
So I'm joined by the wonderful Mark Val, your head of growth at Photon Engine.
That's right. Well, behind my title of head of growth, I'm a full end-to-end engineer. So it means I can help engineers start up the project and help them through the way. Both founders and new studios that are starting. There's always good people to talk to, and also, veterans of our industry where we have to share the latest tips and tricks.
Nice, nice. So talk to us about Photon Engine then. Like, what are the challenges that you're solving for developers?
Sure. So Photon has been existing for more than 15 years, and we solve multiple problem. So we have many generations of an iteration and improving netcode for game developers. And essentially, we try to make it very simple for everyone to build a multiplayer game, and that is from indies to AAA. And we cover all type of features you can think about or to build a multiplayer game. And on that end, we are doing our best to make it easy for everyone.
Awesome. So the specific challenges that you're helping developers with, would that be go-to-market, speeding up development cycles, obviously improvement with the networking, NetOps that you guys are doing as well?
Well, exactly. It's all of the above, right? So
probably a bit more.
That's right. So to make it easy, we have choose a path that requires a lot of work. So first, we provide SDKs to implement into your game engine. So either Unity, Unreal, or even all the way down to the web, to JavaScript. We have different solutions. And our goal every time is to provide, I would say, like the foundation or the best practice for the type of game mechanics that we're trying to build. So the way we solve this problem is that we are giving for free for all developers samples that cover typical game mechanics. So for example, if you want to build a battle royale game, or if you want to build a 2D platformer or a racing game, so we have the samples with the source code and assets that developers can download and look at it, look at how we've made these interactive element implemented for the network. And so the developers can start with the best practice and the foundation from day one. And then what we also provide is literally a free path to soft launch. Yeah. So it means that the whole service is turnkey. Anyone can come to photonengine.com or download our assets on the Unity Asset Store and start developing. You can launch your game all the way up to 100 concurrent user. So how does that work exactly? What is a concurrent user? Is users or players that are playing at the same time. And so we have this formula to help developers to understand how many potential CCU they would have. And essentially, you take your MAU that you're targeting, so your monthly active user, you divide it by 20, which gives you your daily active user, your DAU. Yep. And again, you divide it by 20, and that gives you your CCU. Okay. So we give away 100 CCU for free.
How accurate is that ratio roughly? Is it because it must be a generalization?
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of experience.
It's a generalization. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, because we have games that are on mobile, we have games that are on console, and some others are on the web. So obviously it varies, but it's pretty much like the average. It's pretty much that. We could say divided by 18 or 22 depending on type of game, but it's fairly accurate. And we've been using that metric for more than a decade, and it's been working very well. Yeah.
So at what point would a developer typically engage with Photon Engine? Is that like a day zero engagement? Is that I've got a prototype or?
Yeah, ideally that's the best, because you want to, the best practice is that if you are gonna build a multiplayer game, is that you want to implement your multiplayer architecture from day one. Yeah. And that is because if you want to, let's say you build a single player game and you want to add multiplayer later, there's a lot of code you will have to rewrite, because it's not the same way that you're gonna be able to sync the various elements in your game than if you are building a single player game. So on that end, it's really better to start by understanding your architecture, your latency, where it's going to be, and how to tackle it. So a good analogy is that let's say you're a lumberjack in a forest, right? So the first thing you want to do is chop the biggest tree, right? So you go to that tree, you chop it out, and you look at the wood, you understand more what is the forest all about. You do the same thing when you build a multiplayer game. So you chop the big tree, which is your first game loop, that is with other players. You make a rough first pass, and then you improve it until it's perfect, and then after that you start making levels, progression, and all the way down to the meta game.
I love the lumberjack analogy. That's a really unique one.
All right.
And so what happens at the point that the customers and developers that you work with wants to then launch their game? Do you support them moving forward?
Yeah, that's right. So, well, to continue on the answer that I was giving earlier, so once the developer implement the game mechanic is looking for doing the soft launch, then ideally they will go in one region just to figure out if the players love it, and then eventually they will scale out to the entire world. So we have more than 20 endpoints around the world, and so it means that we giving the best latency for all the players out there, and then we provide all tips and tricks to the developer. You know, some people are using a ton of bandwidth, and they're like, hey, there's probably an issue somewhere. So we're trying to make sure that they have the most lean version for the game. And we have a dashboard where you can very much dissect how this consumption is going. And also, like when you're developing, we have a full inspector view to be able to dissect the bandwidth, which game object has been initiated when, and the memory, the footprint, and all these elements, so that as you develop, you can debug and figure out these things also by yourself.
So you're constantly supporting the developer all the way through that, providing some analysis on certain, troubleshooting things.
That's right. And also we have, as part of at Photon, we have the gaming circle. So the gaming circle is a bit like our private crew of studios where our engineers will give answers to the studios who have questions. And how does that work? So we have a full Discord channel. So it's like a big chat with private channel for each of the studios, and then the developers can ask questions there that are private, and then we answer that way.
So you're providing support in Discord?
That's right. Oh. We provide support in Discord and by email as well, and on Slack for some other studios. But the idea is to have a history of how things are going, and also have this proximity between the studio and our engineers. And because we live in a creative field, and sometimes creative ideas have never been made before, and they want to make sure that it's possible. Most of the time, the answer is yes. But then we have to steer them in the right direction so that they can have the best outcome.
Just figuring out, pushing the boundaries. That makes a lot of sense.
That's right.
So talk to me about, because you guys offer Photon Cloud, would that be the right term?
Yeah, that's right. So we have the Photon, well, first we have multiple topologies. So we cover 4 topologies at Photon. So we have the deterministic approach, which is quantum, which is that we always think in the future. And then we also have fusion, which has 3 different topologies. We have fusion share, which is in our cloud. So the authority is shared between all of the players.
Right.
And then we have fusion host, which is the host of the game becomes the authority. And then we have fusion server, where you can put on a server and pretty much put your own custom code next to the server, and then you can pretty much do anything you want.
Amazing, and that's kind of where we come in as Servers.com.
That's right, exactly.
So when you guys were, figuring out how to build that kind of cloud product out, how did Servers.com come to, the top of?
That's right. So at Photon, when we choose a provider, we do a battery of tests, right? So we have to look for jitter, latency, packet loss, and we're trying to figure out which machine have the best throughput, and very few providers actually passing our test. just so you're aware, right? So what I mean by that is that many other providers we're gonna have some. What happened the most is packet loss, and we cannot tolerate packet loss if the hardware. That's right, and the machine we need are not necessarily like the most performant machine with 96 cores. Pretty much the contrary. We need machines that are performant, yes, but only 4 cores. But what is the most important is the Ethernet card, and how much can that setup with the motherboard and the memory and the other layers, the backbone and whatnot. If all of this is built properly, then we're going to have a very good situation to be able to host. And so Photon, we both use actually Servers.com for on cloud, so it means that or relays or various elements that are internationally available. And also, well, if one of our customer wants to host their game by themselves on Servers.com, they can also do that as well.
Amazing. So it sounds like latency is probably the most important thing for you guys when it comes to selecting a supplier, right?
That's right. So because you don't have a jitter as well, which is a latency that varies, and we don't want to have noise from other type of service provider. We all go bare metal, so bare metal is the way to go. Oh yeah, because because definitely when you're bare metal, you have full control of the stack. And if we look, for example, at what GCP or Amazon or Azure provide, which are all, like VMs on top of a hypervisor,
yep.
It creates noise. Not only it's super expensive, but it's not very, it's not stable across a pool of, let's say, 1,000 nodes. So bare metal is the way to go. We've learned that a long time ago. And so we have our own management system on top of all of that. And Servers.com is really providing what we need.
Awesome. And so talk to me about games like that you've done recently. So you've done Peak most recently. Stumble Guys was a big one.
That's right.
For you guys. When those games, I don't know whether that was a predicted concurrent user, but those games were super successful, right? Like
that's
millions or thousands of concurrent players.
Oh no, well, we did go in the millions.
Oh,
like,
it did?
Wow. Yeah. For example, Stumble Guys reach 1.2 million CCU, which was quite high. So it wasn't in the top 10 biggest game with CCUs, but now there's new games like Grow Garden.
Yeah.
That has
pushing boundaries.
That's right, 21.3 million CCU. Obviously, like the industry is growing, and that's totally fine. And then for Peak, they use or shared approach, right?
Yeah.
So and then Peak is also a premium game instead of free to play. So they have now they just announced they sold for 10 million copies, which is pretty good for a game that went out 2 months ago only, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations to the Peak team at Landfall, and yeah, so for these type of games, for example, let's take Peak. In Peak, what makes the game so good is, of course, you're with your friend. The gameplay is super easy to understand. It's very hard to master, but it's the voice. So as part of our product offering, we have Quantum and Fusion, but we also have Photon Voice. And I would say voice is pretty the most underestimated element that you can implement in your game. Mm-hmm. So for example, you have another game called Repo, that is also playing with the voice, where you can put filters on the voice. So for example, in Repo, depending on the height of your character, you're gonna sound like a kid, or like an adult.
Oh, okay, wow.
so they modify your voice.
Really immersive experience.
That's right. So it makes something that is very comedic. And in Peak is the same thing. Let's say you're climbing the mountain and you're falling down. So you have this element of like, oh, my friend is going down, and then you can also eat fruits that change your voice, and it adds an element of comedy. And there's this metric that developers often doesn't think about, which is time to laugh, right? So this is a metric you can do when you have a voice, because you can track what's going on in the microphone. And if your time to laugh is 2 minutes, well, this means people are having fun under 2 minutes. This is amazing. So, and then how recurrent it is. So this is, we hear a lot about retention and how long this is the session and all these things. But in the end, we're all humans. We have emotions. For us, we really concentrate on the net code, right? We want to have the most solid net code, and then we give away all the tips and tricks to succeed. But us, we are laser focused on our products. And obviously, once we start up talking about behavioral analysis and AI and enhancement and things like this is not our field. We leave that to others. But this is definitely a field that is up and coming, and voice is going to be everywhere, especially with the next generation of AR glasses that are coming, where It's all voice activated. So yeah.
That's cool. Stumble Guys, 1.2 million CCU.
That's right.
How did you keep up with that demand? Because you were providing the game servers, the interactive instances for the players, right?
That's right. That's right. So how we do it? So bare metal machine, are not coming out of thin air.
Yeah.
And then when we have a game that goes from 0 to millions of CCUs in a very short amount of time, we have to make sure that all the providers are, ramping up their machine. And at the same time, we all know that you can hit the limit. So when that limit is reached, then yes, we're gonna go for a very short amount of time into VMs so that we can spin the game anyway. And as the bare metal machines are spinning up, then we're gonna kill those VMs to give the best traffic, and then everyone's gonna be back on bare metal. And so obviously we always try to route the player to the closest operation point that is close to them. And so having the best coverage is really what we're looking for, so that everyone has a good latency.
What challenges specifically does Servers.com help you overcome?
Well, giving good machine. Seriously, like I was saying earlier, very few providers have consistency across their pool of hardware. And so when we find one, we're like, yo, these guys know their stuff very well, so let's do more with them. So essentially, it's just you providing a good setup and a good type of architecture on your side that really prevail for all of the type of games that are being built on top of Photon.
Awesome, glad to hear it. What's the roadmap for Photon ahead then?
Sure. So now we're launching Fusion 2.1. So with Fusion 2.1, we come with new type of integration that is very AAA. So for example, we bring something that we call forecast physics. So usually that used to be only in a deterministic simulation. When we talk about Fusion, this is state transfer, and now we'll be able to forecast the physics and do some rollback. So that's client-side prediction, and on that way, it's really revolutionizing the product. And also we're adding new types of authority. So for example, let's say we are in a very closed room here. So we want the people in this room to be in sync all the time. But then we can give a priority for the people that are on the other side of this wall, a lower priority. So instead of being refreshed at, let's say, 120 hertz, they're going to be refreshed at 20 hertz. And if there's people that we don't even see, but they are part of this, building that we're in right now, we don't have to sync them at all. So that we call that area of interest. So depending on the area that is around you, you're going to sync only that part. So it means you can have way more players in one room, right? Mm-hmm. And only sync what is important. So you can, a game that normally you would have 100 players, now you can have 400, 600, 800, or even more. And so it's very, very pushing the boundaries of what is possible to do with netcode. And so our goal is always to iterate, give new features, and provide what's next or what is already available, but provide it for everyone. And then all of these features are turnkey. So most of it's a small implementation. You don't have to, crack your head on how this thing works. We have a good documentation for developers to read and get started.
You guys seem to be killing it. Every developer I speak to that's utilizing you guys is, absolutely loves you. So thanks for sitting down with us today, Mark.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, mate. Thank you.
All right.